If you're looking for the quick answer to that question, it's yes, you can save a lot of money, but stick around if you actually want to know the ins and outs of it. I just finished building the 11 doors for the upper cabinets in my kitchen, and it took me basically all week to get these doors to this point where I'm sanding them today. And they're still not done because I have to finish sanding them, and then I have to spray them with clear finish. And then after that clear finish is dry enough to sand, I have to sand that, and then I have to spray it again 2 more times with more clear finish before they're actually, like I actually have a finished door. But then the door is not installed. I have to drill the holes for the hinges and mount it on the cabinet and do all the alignment and all that. Then I have to put the handle on. So there's a lot of work involved in a kitchen, and that's why you can save money by doing it yourself. Now, you can save a lot of time by just building the cabinets themselves and ordering doors for it, but that'll be more expensive. You're not going to be saving as much money. You really need to have a good design before you get started. Otherwise, when you go to build the cabinets and go to put them in, they're not going to fit or they're not going to work. And then you'll have to make changes, and then you'll be into even more time. So you have to start with a great design first, and that is a time sink as well. You have to do a lot of research. You have to do a lot of consideration. You have to do measurements of your kitchen as it is now, see what you want to put in there, how you want to have things arranged. All that can add up to a huge amount of time, even before you go and buy any material. You have to have that design nailed down. So after you have the design worked out, either by yourself or if you actually pay somebody to do the designing, then you have to decide what you're going to be building the cabinets with, whether it's going to be natural wood or whether you're going to go with something that's maybe a little bit more economical, and that would be a white finish or something painted. Painted doesn't necessarily mean less expensive, because a good painted finish can be actually more expensive than any kind of a clear finish, and certainly just as time consuming, because there's a lot of prep work that goes into getting a really good paint finish. The only upside of a painted cabinet is that you can use lower quality. I'm not going to say quality, but you can use, instead of using, say, maple that I used here, which is fairly expensive, you can use something that's less expensive like poplar. And poplar is actually a little bit more easier to work with. It's softer than maple, and a little bit more forgiving when you go to put something together. Also, you can use fillers a lot more. If you make mistakes with cuts or fitting in the trim or whatever, you can use the filler, because it's just going to get painted anyway. One is the so-called European style that doesn't have a face frame. You just build boxes, and you put edge banding on the front of the material that you use to make the boxes, and then you mount doors on that. The other type is a little bit more involved, and it's called face frame, where you build the boxes, and then you build a solid wood face frame that fits on the boxes. The main difference between the two, of course, is the face frame itself. And if you were to eliminate that, then you would save money. And obviously you would save time too, because you don't have to build that face frame that will go on the cabinet. Now, the assumption here is as well that you have a place to build the cabinets, because unless you're going to build them in place, which is trickier to do, you really need to know what you're doing. Well, at least you need to have a very well-established plan if you're going to build them in place, because more often than not, you're dealing with walls that are not straight, you're dealing with floors that are not level. Whereas if you build a box, like a modular type, cabinet system, where each cabinet is a unit that you bring in and you set in place and you level up, that's generally easier to do, because everything inside the box is square. You won't have to do any messing around. Whereas if you build in place, you could have the bottom that's nice and level, and then you put the back in and the wall might not be plumb. So the back is kind of leaning back type thing, and you go to put a divider panel in, and then there's a gap at the top. So you really need to know what you're doing when you build a cabinet in, and you really need to be prepared to deal with all of the problems that come along with that type of installation. Along with a place to build the cabinets, you really need a place to finish them as well. In my circumstance here, I'm doing this in the summer. So what I'm doing is I'm building the cabinet parts in here, and then I'm bringing them outdoors, and I'm spraying them as I need them or as I build them, so that, you know, I don't have a big stockpile of cabinets sitting around, because that's another thing. I'm doing my kitchen kind of piecemeal. I actually started it like 3 years ago, and I installed temporary cabinets until I, you know, found the time or motivation, I guess you could say, to build the proper ones, or the permanent ones actually, that go there. So I'm not dealing with a kitchen that I have to tear out and then put a new kitchen in, because you really don't want to have your kitchen in slings, I guess you could say, especially the kitchen sink. You really want to be able to get that done quickly. You want to get the old cabinets out, get the new ones in, get the sink hooked up, because going without the kitchen sink is really hard. Take it from me. When it gets down to the actual building of the cabinets, you need to make choices about the material that you're going to use. For the carcass of the cabinet, that's the cabinet, like the box of the cabinet is called the carcass. You have several options. I chose to go with 3/4 inch maple plywood that then I finished on the inside, because I liked the way that looks, and I was okay with putting the extra time and effort into doing that. But you can buy material that's pre-finished. Melamine is a very popular choice for the carcass of a cabinet. And you can use that just as well with a face frame style cabinet as well. You have your melamine box, and then you put a solid wood face frame on it, and you don't ever see the melamine on the inside until you open the doors, of course. If you're looking for even more work and something even more economical, you can go with raw particle board here for the carcass of the cabinet, and then paint these, and then you really only have to paint them on the inside, although it would be better if you painted the outside as well. But you can save a lot of money there, but once again, you're going to be spending time painting something that you could, you know, basically pay someone else to do by buying the pre-finished product. As far as furniture and cabinets and everything, you know, made from wood goes, people have a preconceived notion that solid wood is always better than any kind of sheet material. And you know what? That's generally true, but not in this circumstance here. You really want to use sheet goods to build the boxes for your kitchen cabinets, and avoid solid wood for that altogether. Solid wood has its benefits. Of course, it's more durable in general than sheet goods, but the two materials don't behave the same way. Solid wood expands and contracts with seasonal changes in humidity, whereas sheet stock like plywood or particle board or melamine or whatever stays dimensionally stable. It doesn't change dramatically like solid wood will. I'm going to wrap this one up here. And I think I mentioned all the major stuff anyway. There's more that I probably remember later while I'm editing this video or whatever. And what I'll do is I'll put those in a blog entry. And if you want the complete story, you can go read that. The link is in the description.